Peace, love, and life to my TikTok family. So if you haven't seen the movie Sinners, this is a spoiler alert. Get up off my page. Now, this movie right here, top 10, especially for a spiritual girly or spiritual people in general. Because this right here was like a spiritual awakening for real. They had the hoodoo working in this film. You know, they had a lot of Yoruba lineages in here. Like you saw a little bit of Papa Legba and all that other stuff. So if you really know and tapped into that shit, this here, right here is for you. So we have the twins, which are Stack and Smoke. They went to go buy a juke joint. They coming down from Chicago. And everybody knows, you know, juke joints is like the sacred ground for black people back in the day. This is set in 1932. So, you know, black people come, be themselves, dance, listen to their own music, blah, blah, blah. Now, this started off in a church, which was eye-opening. Well, it wasn't eye-opening for me, but the church, to me, represented what white supremacy passed down back in the day. That's what they gave us, Christianity, quote unquote. And it started and ended in the church. So you have Preacher Kid, aka Sammy, who dad was the preacher at the church. And his dad was telling him basically, you playing the guitar, singing the blues is devil work. And it's demonic. And that's where the problem lies. I feel like, especially in our culture, black culture. Anything that's not quote unquote rooted in the church or biblical, it's seen as demonic. Whether that's singing the blues, secular music, doing hoodoo, you know, working with candle magic, thinking of, like, I just feel like it's just a lot when it comes to that, which the crazy part is that's what they gave you. That's not necessarily for us. The oppressor can't be the oppressed. So I think it was symbolic. Then we move on to Smoke going to see Annie. Now, before he seen Annie, well, it's still like you saw that obviously his child, baby, passed away. And you was able to see the grave that they made for her. Mind you, those were quote unquote offerings. That's another thing in African spirituality. We give offerings. And that was good to see. And then we go inside to Annie and Smoke. Now, a lot of people said they felt like they thought that was his mama, his auntie, or whatever. I feel like I didn't know how. I mean, I can see what they were saying, but at the same time, the chemistry was undeniable. And I can tell it was something that was unspoken there. Mind you, I feel this way because how mainstream social media and society make you look at natural women and full figure women differently than the typical skinny, you know, I don't want to say pale face, but skinny, light-skinned women as superior than the dark-skinned natural woman. Because to me, if you was looking at this scene, you can tell they had unfinished business. So then we move on to Stack, who is with Preacher Boy because he's trying to find music for the juke joint. He runs into Delta Slim, who plays the piano and also the harmonica. Delta Slim was very iffy in the beginning about playing at the juke joint that night because he was loyal to who was loyal to him. But as you can see, Delta Slim ended up playing at the juke joint for $40 and a pack of Irish beer because he was a drunk. Okay, he wasn't a drunk, but he was a drunk. He was a drunk. He loved his liquor, and that was how they was able to recruit Delta Slim. And Sammy was their cousin, so that's how they was able to get that. And even when you saw the dynamic that happened between Sammy and Delta Slim, Sammy was about to play for him, and Delta Slim was like, nah, don't play, He didn't want to hear all that. That kind of gave me a dynamic between older elders and young teens or young kids. And I feel like after a while, like he ended up letting him play for him or whatever, but I felt like he was still like, oh, okay, this young legit got some lungs on him. He can sing, he can play, but it was cool. So then we go and we listen to Delta Slim's story, and even though they didn't show like flashbacks of what happened, you can feel everything that happened with his friends and all that other stuff, because when they was riding along and it was still people picking cotton. Mind you, this is 1932. The Jim Crow law, all that got passed. So he was telling the story of how his friend got killed by these white people, and you can feel everything. And even in the middle of that, he started humming. And because I feel like music was a way to speak to the ancestors, he started humming, and it was just great, bro. It was just great. It's so much to unpack. Now, the vampires, Remy wanted Sammy. I'm just trying to speed this up because it's a lot. Remy wanted Sammy's gift. His gift was his music and his blues, and that was a way to his culture. Thing about culture vultures, they love to steal our stuff. Okay, and I feel like that was a lot with what had to do with Sammy and Remy. Even when Remy was recruiting vampires, you saw the vultures up on the house. That's just a symbol of death. That's how you knew he was not all the way there. He was not alive. I'm gonna just have to come back to part 2 because this is just too much.